Does this sound familiar? You have an important project coming up for work or school, but you're wasting time on your phone, social media, or watching random videos on YouTube. Unfortunately, there is a high price to pay for habitually choosing to postpone or delay something that needs to be done. The more you put off a task, the more anxiety and stress you'll create in your life. So in this video, we'll talk about the 7 strategies you can use to stop wasting time and be more productive. Now be sure to watch this whole video to the end, because I'll also give you a free tool to take action on these 7 ideas. Finally, if you enjoy the content of this video, then please help us out by taking a few seconds to hit that like button. Okay, let's get started. 1. Become aware of your procrastination. Are you waiting to be in the mood to work on a project? Or do you spend your time focusing on other people's to-do list? There are many reasons why you might be wasting time, so it's up to you to recognize when you're putting off an important task. You can do this by building what's called the awareness habit. The truth is, most people aren't consciously aware that they're putting off a task or a project. Instead, they keep procrastinating and never take the time to understand the motivation behind this behavior. So the simplest solution is to create a habit where you track your impulses to procrastinate. This is called the awareness habit, because you are consciously making yourself aware of the times when you choose to procrastinate on a task. To build more awareness, you could create reminders around your workspace to not procrastinate. Use tally marks to track whenever you feel the urge to put off a task. Log the awareness habit in a tracking app or a physical checklist. Wear a rubber band around one wrist, and when you notice the urge to procrastinate, switch the rubber band to another wrist. Now, if you would like to learn more about this awareness habit, then be sure to check out our video where we dive into this concept. Number 2. Create a schedule. Another way to be more productive is to use time management techniques, such as time boxing or the Eisenhower matrix to help organize your day. Get a planner or app that lays out all of your deadlines, and use these tools to check your tasks as you complete them. You can color coordinate this, or organize it in any way that makes sense to you. This will help you keep motivated as you go through your workday. And when you're making your schedule, give yourself some extra time between when you plan to complete your task and when it is actually due. This way, if any challenges or setbacks come up during the process of your project, you will still be able to complete it in time. Number 3. Create shorter deadlines. It's easy to put everything off until the last minute because you keep thinking to yourself, I have plenty of time. But one strategy that can help is to use Parkinson's law to your advantage, which we also covered in a recent video. This law states, work expands so as to fill the time available for its completion. The idea here is when you give yourself strict time constraints, you can get more work done in less time. For example, if you allow yourself a week to finish a task that should take 3 hours, then psychologically, the task will expand in complexity and seem more difficult. Then you will take the entire week. But by trimming your responsibilities down to the bare minimum and doing those tasks with maximum effort, then you will produce high-quality work and free up your time to spend on other areas of your life. So instead of giving yourself a week to do a project, try to do it in 3 days. To get started, look at a deadline that is far in the future. Then break it down into smaller projects and set shorter deadlines along the way. Focus on one small project at a time, and if you still continue to procrastinate, then break down the project even further. Keep doing this until the steps are so small that you can chip away at a project in small 30 to 60-minute batches. Number 4. Take things slower. This might sound counterintuitive, but doing things at a slower pace helps you pay attention to the details. The reason this is important is because many people tend to multitask with their work. Sure, you may be able to get a lot of things done on a superficial level, but nothing is getting done well, and often nothing is being completed. Slow it down and do one thing at a time, and put all of your focus on that one thing. This way, when you're done, it will be completely finished, and you won't have to go back and fix it later. Number 5. Take action as you go. Another way that people procrastinate is they fail to address matters as soon as they crop up. Instead, they put them off for a later date. But if you take care of small problems as you go, it will prevent them from all piling up and possibly creating one large problem. For example, let's say you're working on a project and you need a piece of information before moving on. Don't skip it and leave it blank, telling yourself that you will come back to it later. Instead, get that task completed by finding the information so you can put it behind you and move on. One way to implement this idea is to build an anti-procrastination habit that's based on the 2-minute rule concept that David Allen recommends in the book Getting Things Done. Allen said that if you know a task takes only a few minutes, then do it right away instead of writing it down on your to-do list or swearing that you'll do it later. Whenever you encounter an item that needs to be completed, ask yourself, how long will this take? If it's only a minute or two, then do it right away instead of putting it off. You'll find that doing this consistently will remove much of the negativity that happens when you have a lengthy list of tasks to complete. Number 6. Avoid all distractions. When you're working on an important project, one way to avoid wasting time is by putting away your phone and disabling notifications on your computer until you're finished with what you need to do. The truth is, you may be inadvertently using some distractions to avoid doing a task. It's important to know what distracts you and to figure out how to keep these things at bay. For example, if you frequently waste time mindlessly looking at the internet, then use a site blocker to prevent you from going to certain websites. If you'd like to learn more about this topic, then watch our video on the 7 ways to avoid distractions while working or studying. Number 7. Step outside. If you're really struggling and feel like you've hit the wall when it comes to motivating yourself, then give yourself permission to stop working and get outdoors for a short break. This is important because one study found that even a little bit of time in nature can give you a psychological boost and increase your productivity. During this break, you could take a short walk or just sit on a park bench enjoying the fresh air. Then you can use this time to regroup yourself. You could think about the current obstacle that you're facing and come up with a few different ideas for overcoming it. Now, the best way to stop wasting time is to turn the 7 ideas that I just discussed into habits that you incorporate into your daily routine. And to help you do this, let's talk about the free tool that I promised in the introduction of this video. On our blog, we have a free printable you can use to track the important habits in your life. To get started, check out the link in the description box to download and print this tracking sheet. Then track 1 or 2 of the ideas that we just discussed and focus on them for the next month. Now, there are a variety of additional strategies you can use to stop wasting time. So if you want to finally break the cycle of waiting until the last minute to work on an important task, then click and watch our video on the 5 anti-procrastination habits.